1971 Lincoln penny 1-cent coin value with mint mark S and fine condition. Let's begin with a bit of historical context. The year was 1971, a time when the United States was navigating through a whirlwind of societal change. From the end of the Vietnam War to the rise of new economic policies under President Nixon, everything was shifting, including the way Americans thought about currency. While the dollar was moving away from the gold standard, the penny remained a quiet constant in people's pockets. Yet at the San Francisco Mint, something special was happening. Though the mint had largely switched to producing proof coins, it still struck business strike pennies bearing the S mint mark, and these are the coins that stir collectors' hearts to this day. The 1971 Lincoln penny carries forward the iconic design of Victor David Brenner, first introduced in 1909. On the obverse side, we see the right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, detailed with surprising depth even in worn specimens. The motto, "In God We Trust," arcs along the top edge, while the word Liberty rests to the left of Lincoln's shoulder. The date, 1971, is positioned just to the right, accompanied by the small but significant S mint mark below. On the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, stands the Lincoln Memorial, bold and symmetrical. Nestled within the columns, barely visible without magnification, is a tiny image of Lincoln himself, a tribute within a tribute. Now let's talk about mintage. In 1971, the San Francisco Mint produced over 525 million ** business strike Lincoln cents. While that may seem like a massive number, especially by today's standards, it's significantly lower than the billions minted at Philadelphia or Denver during the same year. This relative scarcity, combined with the historical importance of San Francisco's declining role in business strike production, makes the 1971 S penny an attractive target for collectors. Furthermore, many of these coins were put into circulation and endured heavy wear, so finding specimens in higher grades or with error varieties becomes a thrilling hunt. Speaking of varieties, let's explore errors where things get really interesting. Among the known 1971 Lincoln cent errors, one of the most captivating is the ** double die obverse ** DDO. In this variation, the lettering, particularly in God We Trust and Liberty, shows noticeable doubling under magnification. These errors are quite rare and can command strong premiums. Even in fine condition, a confirmed DDO can push the value of a 1971 S penny into the hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on the clarity of the doubling and overall coin condition. Another sought-after error is the off-center strike, where the coin's design is shifted away from the center due to a misaligned die. These errors can vary in severity, with coins that are 5% to 10% off-center being collectible curiosities, and those struck 50% or more off-center achieving significant value. There's also the broad strike error, where the collar die fails, allowing the planchette to expand during striking, resulting in a coin that's wider and flatter than usual. These errors are rarer among 1971 cents and therefore particularly prized when found. When it comes to market value, most 1971 Lincoln pennies in fine condition trade for modest amounts, typically a few cents above face value. However, collectors aren't just looking for fine-grade coins, they're hunting for the best examples they can find. Coins in mint state, especially MS-65 or higher, can fetch between $5 and $15, depending on luster, strike sharpness, and eye appeal. But the true game-changer lies in errors and varieties. A 1971 DDO in higher uncirculated condition has been known to sell for over $1,000 at major auctions. Even examples in VF or XF condition can bring in $100, $300, particularly when authenticated by third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC. What makes this coin truly compelling to collectors isn't just the value, it's the mystique. The 1971 S is a symbol of transition. It represents a mint straddling the line between business strike production and proof coinage, between mass mintage and fine craftsmanship. For the Lincoln Cent series, it serves as a bookmark in numismatic history, a coin that links the copper-heavy era of early U.S. pennies with the looming shift towards zinc-based compositions in the 1980s. 1973 Lincoln penny 1-cent coin value with mint mark D and fine condition. Now let's turn our attention to another under-the-radar treasure, the 1973 Lincoln penny minted in Denver. You may be wondering what makes the 1973 D 1-cent coin so special. After all, billions were minted, But that's the beauty of coin collecting. It's not always about the numbers. It's about the stories, the anomalies, and the subtle differences that turn an everyday object into a sought-after piece of numismatic art. In this section of our episode, we'll uncover everything you need to know about the 1973 Lincoln penny, from its history to its hidden value. By 1973, the Lincoln Memorial Cent was deeply embedded in the lives of Americans. Gas was 39 cents a gallon, the Watergate scandal was brewing, and the U.S. Mint was running at full capacity. Denver, in particular, produced an astounding 3.5 billion pennies that year. That's right, over 3.5 billion coins, stamped with the iconic Lincoln profile and a small D mint mark beneath the date. While that sheer volume might suggest insignificance, the reality is that among those billions, rare variations, pristine examples, and unusual errors emerged, making the 1973 Lincoln penny a vital part of any serious cent collection. The design of the 1973 Lincoln cent remains faithful to its long-standing appearance. The obverse features the bust of Abraham Lincoln, originally sculpted by Victor David Brenner. Above Lincoln's head arcs the phrase, "In God We Trust," with liberty to the left, and the date 1973 accompanied by the D mint mark to the right. On the reverse, Frank Gasparo's rendering of the Lincoln Memorial stands in all its neoclassical glory. Despite its familiarity, every detail on this coin, every sharp corner, die line, and rim can make a massive difference in its value to collectors. Now, about those errors and varieties, the 1973 Lincoln penny is known for several interesting die anomalies and misstrikes. One notable variety is the RPM, or repunched mint mark, where the D mint mark was punched more than once into the die, slightly off from the original placement. Under magnification, collectors can spot this doubling, which immediately elevates the coin's desirability. RPM varieties, especially when confirmed by grading authorities, often sell for $10 to $75 depending on the condition. There are also die cracks, die clashes, and struck-through debris errors, each of which adds value based on visibility and rarity. Coins with bold die cracks, especially those that cross major design elements or struck through fibers or grease, can be worth considerably more than face value. And don't forget off-center strikes and broad strikes, which can bring in $15 to $100 depending on severity and grade. In terms of market value, a typical 1973 penny in fine condition won't break the bank. It might retail for a modest premium above face value, but higher grades are where things change. An MS651973D can be valued at $10 at $25, and coins graded MS67 red or higher have reached over $150 at auction, especially if they exhibit strong eye appeal, full luster, and clean fields. Despite the high mintage, many 1973 pennies have been lost to circulation damage, environmental corrosion, or simply tossed aside as unremarkable. This is why finding a sharp, original example in pristine red condition is increasingly rare, and why collectors hunt for them so diligently. Set collectors seeking to complete a full run of Lincoln Memorial cents need this coin. Error collectors prize the RP-Ms. And investors look to slabbed, high-grade examples as a hedge against inflation in the collectible market. In the broader context of Lincoln cents, the 1973 bridges a fascinating era. It was part of the final stretch of 95% copper coins before the compositional change to copper-plated zinc in 1982. So, if you ever get your hands on a 1973 penny, take a second look, check for doubling, inspect for RP-Ms, and appreciate the craftsmanship behind this tiny piece of American history. It may be common by mintage, but it's uncommon in what it represents: value, heritage, and the joy of discovery in every small cent.